we are living dangerous times in the world. For once that we have an agreement that is functioning, that is working, that is delivering, the worst thing you can do is trying to dismantle it. Also because you would show the way to others that making deals actually is not worth it. Because the message that America would send to the rest of the world is that America cannot be trusted upon, because a deal that America voted for just 2 years ago in the UN Security Council with a resolution unanimously adopted, a deal that America helped to shape enormously, would be rejected by the same country if we pass the message that every change of administration in Washington or elsewhere, deals are thrown away and renegotiated. No one would negotiate with any administration ever, would wait the next elections, the next administration, and more favorable circumstances to negotiate whatever. And any deal would be exposed to be renegotiated every term. This is not a way of making deals, not in foreign policy, not in private businesses, and I think President Trump understands that perfectly well. More than 2 years ago, exactly in July 2015, the entire international community welcomed the result of 12 years of intense negotiations on the Iranian nuclear program. 104 pages full of technical details. The Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the JCPOA. It is not a bilateral agreement. It does not belong to any single country, and it is not up to any single country to terminate it. It is a multilateral agreement which was unanimously endorsed by the United Nations Security Council Resolution 2231. It is a robust deal that provides guarantees and a strong monitoring mechanism so that Iran's nuclear program is and will remain exclusively for civilian purposes only. We cannot afford, as international community, as Europe for sure, to dismantle a nuclear agreement that is working and delivering, especially now. The International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, has verified 8 times that Iran is implementing all its nuclear-related commitments, following a comprehensive and strict monitoring system. There have been no violations of any of the commitments included in the agreement. The scope of the agreement relates to the nuclear program and is being fulfilled. The deal has prevented and continues to prevent, will continue to prevent, Iran from developing nuclear weapons. The Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action represents a key and functioning pillar of the international non-proliferation architecture that is even more important to preserve at a time of acute nuclear threat. We believe we have a collective responsibility to preserve it for our own collective security. The United States domestic process, and I underline domestic, following today's announcement of President Trump, is now in the hands of the United States Congress. The JCPOA is not a domestic issue, but a UN Security Council resolution. The international community and the European Union with it has clearly indicated that the deal is and will continue to be in place. The European Union continues to fully support the Iran nuclear deal and the full and strict implementation of all its provisions by all parties. The European Union, together with the rest of the international community, is committed to preserve it to the benefit of all, including the Iranian people.
Thank you very much. A couple of questions. Lawrence.
Thanks, Lawrence Norman in the Wall Street Journal. Can I start with the question of whether Mr. Trump can terminate the deal? You just said he cannot. He just said he can. Which one of you is right? Can you explain that to us? And secondly, and crucially, if Mr. Tillerson comes to you in January or February after a change in the US law, if that happens, and says, let's work on a successor separate agreement dealing with ballistic missiles and sunsets in the agreement, or Mr. Trump will kill this deal, what will you say to him?
I just spoke to Secretary Tillerson, and that was not part of our conversation. I don't need to explain to you that know the deal very well. This deal is not a bilateral agreement. This is not an international treaty. This is an annex, a very long annex, to a UN Security Council resolution, unanimously adopted. To my knowledge, there's not one single country in the world that can terminate a UN Security Council resolution that has been adopted, even more so adopted unanimously and implemented and verified, and with the rest of the international community continuing to support and implement it. So it is clearly not in the hands of any president of any country in the world to terminate an agreement of this sort, because this is a UN Security Council resolution. This is a plan of action that sets things to be done, commitments, nuclear-related commitments, and only nuclear-related commitments, and that is being implemented. So the President of the United States has many powers, not this one. The future, I believe, as I said, the rest of the international community, and for sure the European Union, will preserve the agreement. Can anything else be negotiated? I guess someone that has a deal-maker experience knows that to make a deal, you need to have an interlocutor that is interested and ready to negotiate to get to an agreement. And you should ask this question in Tehran right now. For the moment, this agreement is working, has been implemented, continues to be implemented, and not only as a High Representative of the European Union, but also as the one that has the responsibility to continue to see the implementation of the agreement in place, I would expect all to continue to stick to it, as it has been now the case for almost 2 years.
Yes.
Bonjour, Isabelle Horry, Europe 1, une question en français. Monsieur Trump a eu des mots très durs contre l'Iran tout à l'heure en disant que c'était un
Mr. Trump used very strong language in his speech.
Est-ce que vous pouvez expliquer aux Européens pourquoi c'est quand même bien d'avoir un accord avec ce pays-là?
Can you explain to Europeans why it's a good idea to have a deal with a country like this?
La dénonciation de, comment on dit, la décertification de cet accord aujourd'hui.
And what do you think of this decertification?
Le discours du président Trump ouvre un processus interne.
Mr. Trump's speech opens a domestic political process.
Qui ne se termine pas et l'impact duquel devrait être, comme je dis, évalué après.
The impact of this can only be evaluated later.
Décider ou ne pas décider. Si la position des États-Unis change,
if America's position changes,
l'accord n'est pas dans les mains des Nations Unies.
The deal is not in the hands of the United States.
Sur la qualification de l'Iran,
as far as the qualification of Iran is concerned,
parce que c'est exactement quand il y a un problème qu'il faut trouver un accord pour le gérer. S'il n'y avait pas de problème,
if there hadn't been a problem,
pendant 12 ans,
we wouldn't have spent 12 years trying to resolve it.
Des nuits, des semaines,
long nights, weeks of discussions went into this.
La fête nationale française, le 14 juillet, pour détailler.
And it was an extremely detailed plan.
Avec une forme extrêmement précise tous les engagements nucléaires à respecter.
The nuclear engagements taken by Iran were extremely precise.
Qui étaient là, qu'on a détaillé tellement.
And we are confident that there was enough detail in this deal to make it stick.
On a basé ça pas sur la confiance, qui n'était pas là, mais décision des accords et des engagements mutuels.
And our decisions since haven't been based on any trust, they've been based on observable verification.
Les détails techniques, et pas seulement techniques, de l'accord si en profondeur, qu'est pensé de réouvrir ou renégocier une partie.
The idea of reopening it or renegotiating parts of this deal
ça veut dire que l'accord ne serait pas en place. Je ne vois pas la possibilité
implicates that the accord no longer exists.
de négocier une partie ou l'autre de l'accord. Il n'y aurait pas l'espace politique, il n'y aurait
So there's no political space
du reste de la communauté
to
internationale.
actually do this.
Important for me after the speech that was heard from the current president of the United States to make a number of points to the Iranian nation. In Trump's speech and his talks about Iran's policy, only bad-mouthing and baseless accusations were made against the Iranian nation. He had nothing else to say. I invite the President of the United States to better read the history books and the geography, and as well as international commitments, as well as respect and ethics, international ethics. Apparently, he is not in the know that the U.S. government, that more than 60 years ago, helped in a coup to bring back to power a dictatorship in Iran. It's the same power that used money and pressure and agents to topple an elected legal government in Iran. Apparently, he has forgotten that during the resistance, during the uprising of the Iranian nation for democracy and Islamic Republic, the country that did throw most of its support to this dictatorship in Iran was the United States. President Trump has forgotten the fact that after the victory of the Islamic Revolution, and in the early days of the revolution, the plot by the United States was another coup. Of course, one more time, they tried in 1981, they tried to repeat it. Apparently, they have forgotten the fact that during the imposed Iraqi war on Iran in the 1980s, it was the United States that backed the invaders. They also forgot the fact that when Iran was being bombarded by missiles and being chemically attacked in Sardasht and Halabja, a statement that the U.S. was supposed to make in order to condemn the invaders and support the oppressed, the invaded, they did the opposite. We need to go through the history much more carefully. Over the past 6 decades or so, what they have done to the Iranian people. Over the past 40 years after the victory of Islamic Revolution, how they treated the Iranian nation. They should also go through geography. How come a president, how does a president doesn't know how to refer to an important internationally recognized Gulf, which is Persian Gulf? The same Persian Gulf that, unfortunately, U.S. warships keep coming and going for no apparent reason. They should have asked their own military men to look at their own maps, military maps, even their own pilots, how they have written the name of this important waterway. Therefore, he should also go through his geography also. He should also study. He hasn't studied it well. How come? This is an international multilateral deal that has been ratified by the UN Security Council. It is a UN document. Is it possible for a president to unilaterally decertify this important international deal? Apparently, he is not in the know. This is not a document between Iran and the United States that he can treat it the way he likes. Respect and ethics are also important. Incorrect statements, unjustified, false accusations, baseless accusations against Iran, against the Iranian people, someone should claim that he wants to stand against nuclear weapons. This is someone that tries to stand against the nuclear weapons in a country that has used nuclear weapons not just once but twice against another country. Now they are trying to threaten, they are threatening to nuke another country in that specific part of the world, a country that also is nuclearized and nuclear weapons, that has used nuclear weapons. The Iranian nation is not a nation that could easily retreat in the face of a dictator. The Iranian nation will never kneel down, will never give up. Several months have passed since the presidency of Donald Trump, but he keeps talking bad about this deal. He wants to add clauses to the JCPOA in cooperation with the Congress. He doesn't know that the JCPOA, that nothing can be added, no clauses, no bills can be added. America is now more than ever isolated when it comes to the JCPOA. It is isolated, much more isolated than ever when it comes to hatching new plots against the Iranian nation. We are making it here absolutely clear. We are going to stand against terrorism in the region, and we will continue to fight terrorism. The same terrorist groups that this same gentleman last year during his presidential campaign said America, the American government was behind the creation of ISIS or Daesh. The people of Iran, the people of Iraq, Iran, Yemen, and Syria, and the rest of the region will continue to resist terrorist groups that have been created by the United States, and they will not stand still until these terrorist groups have been terminated and annihilated. The IRGC is a powerful force that is popular among the Iranian people, and the IRGC has always been standing behind the Iranian people. Before the imposed Iraqi war on Iran, fought against anti-Iran agents after the revolution, fought them head-on. During the Iraqi war on Iran also stood against the invaders, and today the IRGC has said yes to the calls of support from the oppressed people of the Middle East. Is this a corrupt force, or the government and armed forces that have always done everything to interfere in the independence and sovereignty of different countries in the region? Is this government of Iran dictator, or a government, is this a government dictator that is only elected by the people, or the governments that are being supported by the US? And they have a tribal system that manages the country, that have never had an election in their countries. A regime that continues to oppress the people of Palestine, Lebanon, and others. You support that regime. But the force that is fighting terrorism in the region and has never invaded any country, you use disrespectful words against this force. You forgot. You forgot that you shot down a passenger Iranian airplane over the Persian Gulf waters, and then supported and then gave them medals of honor to these criminals. You forgot that the wars in the region have been created by you. You forgot how you treated the people of Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria and others. You talk about Iran's missile program and you say you are concerned. How come the arms that you give to the invaders in the region and use your warplanes and bombs to target the oppressed people of Yemen? With regard to those weapons and invasions, you are not protesting. You targeted Iran's oil rigs in the Persian Gulf. You invaded this region continuously. Our arms, our missile programs, our missiles are for defense. We have always been determined to defend ourselves. Now, today, we are going to be much more determined to defend ourselves. We will continue to produce the arms that we need, and we will double that effort from today to build those weapons. Our weapons are for deterrence and defense, and we will continue to strengthen our defense capabilities. And my last words. With regard to the JCPOA, we see this an international deal, a multilateral deal. As long as our rights are served, as long as our interests are secured, if we continue to benefit from this deal within the framework of our national interest, we will continue to stick to the deal. We will continue to cooperate with the IAEA within the framework of international law and the UN Nuclear Agency. However, if one day our interests are not met or other sides refuse to abide by their commitments, they should know Iran will not hesitate. Will give them a fitting response. What we heard from the American officials tonight were a repeat of incorrect rhetoric, baseless allegations, and bad-mouthing that we have heard over the past 40 years or so. Nothing new we heard tonight. We were not surprised. It's been 40 years that we have been used to hearing these words from you. We were not surprised. We didn't expect anything else from you, and we will not expect anything else from you from now on. Keep in mind that with your incorrect words, you just made us more united than ever. You cannot create discord between the government and the people, or between the people and the popular leadership of this country. You cannot sow discord. Our revolution was based. Religion is not separated from politics, and it is the leadership or supreme leader who is overseeing this connection, this link, based on the Sharia law and the Constitution. Whatever orders our leader gives us, the people are directed to Iran, and the people of Iran are united. All political groups and factions, all political parties, all ethnic groups, they are all united when it comes to standing against the enemies of Iran and you. You are not happy with the slogans made by the Iranian nation, then stop your hostile attitude toward Iran. We do respect the people of America, even today. However, your incorrect policies are not accepted here and will never be accepted here. The slogan of the Iranian nation is not against the people of America. It is against the wrong policies of the United States. It is up to you to reform your foreign policy. It is up to you to learn how to treat other nations. If you do that, the people of Iran also know very well how to treat you well. Our nation will continue to stand against the plotters, the conspirators. Their main goal is to stop our economic growth. The U.S. wants to distance the world from Iran and the JCPOA. They want to stop Iran's economic growth. Despite what Trump said tonight and the unholy goals of the U.S. politicians, the people of Iran will continue to make efforts to develop this country economically.